Sri Gurubhyo Namaha children. Welcome to Online Teaching Academy Ekalaiva. Class 11 Business Studies. We are going to learn a lesson, Sources of Business Finance, the remaining part of the lesson. So we have already learned in the last session about the business finance. So what is business finance? The meaning, nature of business finance, its significance, all those things we have learnt in the last session itself. So you know very well finance means money. So the money required to run the business, the money required to carry on various activities of the business is called business finance. So no business can be commenced or expanded or diversified without business finance. So it is the duty of the owner of the organization or the financial manager of the company to estimate the financial requirements from time to time, and they have to arrange the sources through which the finance can be raised. So when they decide the source of finance, sources means the ways and means through which the finance can be raised. So when they decide upon the sources of finance, they have to see the merits and demerits of various sources available. So when they consider the particular source of finance to be raised, they have to see for which purpose they are raising the finance, the cost of raising that source of finance and the risk involved in that particular source. Everything have to be analyzed by the owner of the concern. Okay. So let us see some of the sources of finance. So sometimes the finance may be raised to meet the fixed capital requirements. During that time they may go for long term financing. Sometimes they may need the finance to be raised to meet the working capital or to meet the day to day expenses. So during that time they may go for short term financing. So here we are going to see a source of finance called retained earnings. You know, earnings means profit. So a company generally does not distribute all its profits to the shareholders as dividends. Here dividend means a part of profit shared by the company with its shareholders. So dividend will be paid to the shareholders from the profit of the company. So the company generally does not distribute all its earnings among the shareholders as dividend. So a portion of the net earnings may be retained in the business for investing in the business itself, that is for reinvesting or for meeting the future requirements. Some portion of the profit may be retained by the company. So that is called retained earnings. So this how much profit has to be distributed to the shareholders as dividend or how much profit has to be retained by the business depends upon various factors such as dividend policy, net earnings and age of the organization. These are all the factors before the retained earnings are retained by the company. They have to consider the factors like this. So it is a source of internal financing or plowing back of profits. So it is also called, this retained earnings is also called internal financing or self financing and plowing back of profits. Let us see the merits of retained earnings. So since the finance is, that is since the profit is retained and it is generated internally, it is a permanent source of funds and it is not payable to any outsider. And secondly, it does not involve any explicit cost. It does not involve any explicit cost in the form of interest or dividend. Suppose if the finance is raised by the issue of shares, the shareholders have to be paid dividend. Or if the company borrows from the banks, it has to pay interest. But this retained earnings does not involve any explicit cost like a paying of interest or dividend. and there is a great degree of operational freedom and flexibility. Since the retained earnings are generated internally, the company can invest this amount of money as it wishes, and it enhances the capacity of the business to absorb unexpected losses. So, if a company faces any unexpected losses like fire accident or theft or a loss due to some natural calamities, it can be met from the retained earnings. So, this retained earnings can be used to absorb the unexpected losses also, and it may lead to increase in the market price. So, this retained earnings lead to increase in the market price of the equity shares of the company. So, new investors may be attracted towards the company. And let us see the demerits of this retained earnings. Excessive plowing back may cause dissatisfaction among the shareholders, because these shareholders will be paid dividend. If the company's profit is retained as the plowing back of profits, the shareholders will be getting lower rate of dividend, which may lead to dissatisfaction among the shareholders, and it is an uncertain source of funds. So, it is not that a business organization has to get only profit every year, it may face losses also. So, we can get this retained earnings only when the business organization earns profit. See, the retained earnings is nothing but a part of profit is kept as retained earnings. Suppose if the organization faces losses, it is not possible for any business firm to keep the retained earnings. So, it is always uncertain source of funds as the profits of the business are fluctuating. The next source of financing is trade credit. It is nothing but credit extended by one trader to another trader for the purchase of goods and services on credit basis. So, goods and services are sold on credit basis. Facilitates the purchase of supplies without immediate payment. Here the supplier supplies the materials to the buyer on credit basis. So, the buyer need not pay the amount immediately. He will be given certain period of time. So, it facilitates the purchase of supplies without immediate payment. The buyer need not pay immediately as soon as he purchases the materials, and commonly used by business organizations as a short term financing. Yes, it is a short term financing, because if the supplier extend credit basis, if the supplier supplies the materials on credit basis, he has to wait till the period the buyer is able to pay that amount. He has to wait for the payment from the buyer. So, his money will be blocked with the buyer, and he has to meet his expenses also in his own organization. So, generally it is used by the business organization as a source of short term financing only, for a short period as well as for the short amount only, small amount only, and it is granted to those customers who have reasonable amount of financial standing and goodwill. So, the supplier will grant this trade credit to the buyer only if he is known, and if his repaying capacity is good only, the supplier will extend the trade credit to the buyer. So, he will consider the financial standing of the buyer as well as how far he is reputed, how far his organization is got reputation in the market and goodwill in the market. Then only this trade credit will be extended by the seller to the buyer. Then the merits of trade credit. It is a convenient and continuous source of funds for the buyer. It is a convenient and continuous source because the buyer will be getting the raw materials continuously without any interruption, because since he is getting the trade credit, he is able to get the raw materials or supplies continuously, and it is a convenient source of funds for the buyer. Then it is readily available in case the credit worthiness of the customer is known to the seller. When the buyer will be getting the trade credit? When the seller satisfies about the buyer, that is when the seller knows that the buyer will be repaying promptly and the credit worthiness of the buyer is good, that is he is credit worthy to extend the credit to the buyer. If the seller satisfies in such a way, then only the credit will be available to the buyer. Needs to promote the sales of an organization. So, because of this trade credit, it is easy for the buyer of the raw materials to maintain his sales in the organization without any disturbance. To increase the inventory level, so the stock level can be maintained by the buyer to meet expected rise in the sales volume. To meet the sales volume, he needs raw materials, isn't it, for the production. So, he is able to get by this source of trade credit, so that he can continue his sales and he can maintain the inventory level properly, and no charge on the assets of the firm. For getting this trade credit, the buyer need not pledge or mortgage any security with the creditor or with the supplier. So, it is a easy and convenient form of source of finance for the buyer as well as the supplier. And there are some limitations also in case of trade credit. Here only limited amount of funds can be generated through trade credit, because the supplier, if he supplies his raw materials for a large amount, that money will be blocked with the buyer, because it is a credit sales. Since he supplies the goods on credit sales, he is not getting the payment immediately. He has to wait for the specified period till which the buyer is willing to pay. So, only limited amount of funds only can be generated through trade credit. It is allowed to those buyers who have good financial position and reputation in the market. So, it is not available generally to the new customers or new buyers. The buyers who have good financial position in the market and who has reputation in the market can easily avail this trade credit. And when goods are sold on credit basis, funds are blocked. So, the person who supplies the goods on credit basis, he has to wait for the period for which the credit period is allowed. Till that, his money will be blocked with the buyer. These are all the limitations of trade credit. Then the next source of finance is lease financing. It is nothing but a contract. It is a contractual agreement whereby one party, that is the owner of an asset, grants the other party the right to use the asset. Here there are two parties, one is the owner of the asset, the other party is the person who is going to use that asset. So, he is getting the right to use that asset. He is not purchasing or he is not owning the asset. He is only going to use the asset. For that, he will be paying a periodic payment. So, this agreement is called a lease agreement. Here, the owner of the asset is called lessor and the person who uses the asset is called lessee, and the amount he is paying, that is the lessee is paying to the lessor, is called lease rental. Here you can get the assets on lease like land, building, vehicles or computers, even the electronic equipments on lease basis. So, the owner of the asset is called the lessor. The party who uses the assets is known as lessee. The lessee pays a fixed periodic amount called lease rental to the lessor for the use of the asset. And what are the merits of this source of lease financing? It enables the lessee to acquire the asset with a lower investment. Sometimes the lessee may not be in a position to purchase that asset. He may be in some financial difficulties. So, in that case, he can approach the owner of the asset and take that asset on lease basis. So, cost of buying the asset will be difficult for the lessee. So, he approaches the owner of the asset to use that particular asset for a specific period of time, and it has to be mentioned in the lease contract. The terms and conditions should be clearly mentioned in the lease contract. And simple documentation. No complex formalities are involved in making the lease agreement. A simple documentation is enough for getting the asset on lease basis. The risk of obsolescence is borne by the lessor. So, it means getting the outdated. Suppose if the assets used or equipments used are getting outdated, that can also be replaced by the lessee. That loss will be, that risk will be borne by the lessor. The risk of obsolescence is borne by the lessor. It is the headache of the lessor only. The lessee need not worry about that. Simply he has take the assets on lease basis. He is not the owner of the asset, he is only going to use that asset. So, this risk is borne by the lessor, and the lease agreement does not affect the debt raising capacity of an enterprise. So, the person who has entered into the lease contract can raise finance through other sources of funds also. What are the limitations of this lease financing? It may impose certain restrictions on the use of assets. So, what are those restrictions? See, the lessee cannot alter or modify the asset which he has acquired on lease basis, and he cannot become the owner of the asset also. The normal business operations may be affected in case the lease is not renewed. So, it is the duty of the lessee to renew the contract as far as the period is over. Once the period of contract is over, he has to renew it. Suppose if he has not renewed, the business operations may be affected because of the non-renewal of the contract. And it may result in higher payment obligation in case the equipment is not found useful. So, he has got an equipment on lease basis, but later he finds that equipment is not useful, means even then he has to pay according to the agreement. And the lessee opts for premature termination of the lease agreement also. Even if he opts for premature termination, he has to pay the full amount as per the lease contract. We have come to the end of this session, children. Thank you. To receive our online lessons, press the subscribe button and you will be getting the latest videos. Thank you, children.